3:30. I'll call the Transportation Committee of April 19, 2012 to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Collins?
Here.
Commissioner Cross?
Here.
Commissioner Dearson?
Here.
Commissioner Engel?
Here.
Commissioner Jaeger?
Here.
Commissioner Longmire?
Present.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Here.
Commissioner Plummer?
Here.
Commissioner Spaulding?
Here.
Commissioner Snyder?
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins?
Here. What is your pleasure on the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried. We'll move on to informational items for the transit and the airport. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Snyder?
I already set Mr. Coons up for this. I noticed that it seems that the ridership appears to be down, and I was curious as to why, or what the explanation for that is. And then as a secondary, and I know this isn't something over which you have any control, but am I the only one seeing a variety of cab companies all of a sudden?
No, they're everywhere.
And just everything under the sun.
Anything and everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, let me answer the ridership question.
Yes, right.
The numbers for March on our fixed route service are down quite a bit from last year, March. I did look into that as soon as I saw the numbers coming in. March of 11 was extraordinarily high compared to other months last year and compared to 2010. So we kind of saw a big jump, and now we're back to more of what I would consider a similar number to what we had in March of previous years, and it was still growing. We also did find, and impacting our ridership a little bit this year on fixed routes, is that one of our school customers, Waypoint Academy out in Muskegon Township, did decide to purchase their own buses and operate their own buses for students this year. And we were carrying upwards of 35 to 40 kids each day to and from school there. So that number is impacting ridership to the tune of a couple thousand anyway every month. So those are a couple of things that are impacting that. In regards to the other question, and you had asked me about that, yes, there are a number of different operators of taxi cab services in town. I can't speak as to how they're operating their services or anything along that line. Limousine operators are required to be licensed with the state of Michigan. I'm not aware of any regulations or minimum standards for taxi cab operators that are in place, and so I don't know to what level that entry into that market, where there's any barriers, and it could be anybody operating that at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Spaulding?
I know this doesn't really have much. I just want to follow up on Commissioner Snyder's comments. I know very little about taxis, but I know I have a little experience with that. And I know there was an effort to have the county attempt to regulate that a few years ago. And we might want to go back to that, because there are, I mean, all you have to do is say you're a taxi and you're a taxi. I don't know, there should be some standard of safety. The vehicles are using the driver's insurance. I don't think anybody's looking at it. I don't know. I don't think they're taking that many passengers, because it's still significantly more to ride a taxi than it is to take the bus. But there are a lot of taxi cabs out there.
Well, when we looked at it for the previous, the regulation turned out to be a little bit, yeah, almost impossible. We would have had to actually, I think, go through the county clerk and some form of registration. And the city of Muskegon had been licensing them, and that they just decided that it was more hassle than it was worth. So they dropped the regulation. I'm not proposing regulation, it just seemed, I just wondered if anybody else had noticed that there seemed to be just a huge variety of taxis, and it seems like anyone in the business, anyone who wants to start charging for a ride can do that. Maybe that's all right.
I just, one last comment. I mean, I hope it doesn't turn out that something bad has to happen before we look at it. But there appears to be no regulation whatsoever, so.
Well, I guess my only comment to that is I don't see any need for regulation on taxi cab companies to be no different than regulating any business out there, Bob. There's probably 4 cab companies, I'm guaranteeing that I'm gonna get rich.
I would agree.
If you make just one company, it'll get rich. And that was the history 15, 20 years ago, was on one cab company.
Well, I don't think we're going to decide that today, but maybe that is something that we might want to look at, because I haven't heard any complaints. I've seen the taxis out there, but when you look at, maybe this is a way of creating another job. But I think this is something that we might want to look at in the future if it becomes a problem. Commissioner?
Go ahead.
Just until it's a problem, I'm not sure that it's good to try to increase regulations or whatever in a time when folks are just barely scraping along. And if it becomes a problem, then I guess we address the problem, but it's sort of like Lou says, it's not much different if you won't take your neighbor to town for $5, you know?
I was just going to shift gears for a minute and talk about the airport. I'm glad the load factor for the airplanes was 56% this past month. And we seem to be doing well. Each month seems to be a little better. So let's hope it will continue.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Jager?
Yeah, I just like to say, it seems like the go buses are going out a lot more too. I've been noticing them all over the whole county, which is a good thing too, I think.
All right. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Then the motion is carried. We'll move on to public comment on an agenda item. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move on to items for consideration, starting with TR 120409.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried. We'll move on to TR 120410. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried. We'll move to TR 120411.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried. TR 120412.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion for the snow removal? Commissioner Jager?
I'd just like to say something. These are the best bids. I don't know whether it's the engineering department or you or the federal government, but the cover letter is great, it explains what you're doing. Everything about this is done the way it ought to be done. And for me, I'm not speaking for the rest of the board, it sure makes our job a lot easier when it's wrote so well and done so well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jager. I agree with you. there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, then the motion is carried. We'll move on to TR 120413. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in,
Commissioner Brown?
No, I'm sorry, no, I have a question.
any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, then the motion is carried. Is there any old business?
I was just wondering on the, what the status is on the bus station downtown and how the progress is coming along on that. And has there been any more talk about possibly, you know, that Commissioner Longmire brought up quite some time ago about the wrap for one of the new buses?
Yes, I can address that. Bob Dickens, Community Development Director. The Transit Center, we are moving through the Federal Transportation Association process with that. We've been in contact on an almost daily basis with the Chicago office of the FTA, and we're working out the environmental studies and the grant amendments to the grants that we have to work through. Some of these grants are a bit have been out there for a while. So we are working with the FTA to make sure that all the grant requirements are in place before we move forward with that. But now the main stumbling block is the environmental assessment, and they're just it's just taking them a while to go through that information. As far as the bus wrap goes, we do have delivery of another bus coming, I believe, and we are looking at wrapping that bus.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other comments? Commissioner
If I
Scobie?
may, the question I had to do with the purchase of that loader, and I don't know who knows the most about the loader, but maybe Marty does. I'm just curious how big the bucket is. Is that, I mean, you said,
What you referred to, Commissioner?
I'm sorry?
I thought you referred to one of them.
Oh, no, it's an item we already did, I just didn't get the answer to the question. How big is that?
The loader itself, the bucket, what we specified were two types of buckets. One was a snow box bucket to move snow. It's a 14-foot wide bucket. And then it also comes with just a standard bucket for that model, and then I believe about a 2.3 cubic yard. So the small bucket, the 2.3 cubic yard, that's used to take the sand from the sand shed, put it in the back of the snow removal trucks. And then the large snow box then is used to move snow from around hangars and roadways and buildings.
Okay, so it's a 2-yard bucket for moving some kind of sand or dirt or something, and it's got a snow box on it for actually moving the snow.
Yes.
And were they all about this? I mean, you said that was a little smaller than the other ones?
The
loader was a little smaller than the other bids?
Well, the loader itself, the loader that was spec'd out, I'm sorry, the loader that was the low bid, that one is a little bit larger than the one we have currently. It's size-wise, horsepower-wise, it met the specifications. Some of the other bids exceeded the specifications by quite a bit. But this one at the low bid price did meet our specs.
How much does that get used for? I know we need it. I mean, the other one is 20 or so.
Right. What we use this one for, mainly this is used for a lot of the roadways around the hangars and around the buildings. Anytime we have drifting of snow, the large plows that we have, they're 20-foot blades on the large plow trucks. We just can't get close enough to the buildings to clean the snow away. So it's used anytime we have snow.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? We'll move on to new business. New business.
I have a couple of things. One, I would hope to have this board pass a resolution congratulating Lakewood Club on their centennial celebration coming up this year.
There's a motion and support. Is there any discussion on this motion for the Lakewood Club? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried.
The other thing, just a reminder for the commissioners, on April 30th at 7 o'clock, Lakeland Township, the Muskegon Township Association will be meeting, just for your information.
Any other new business?
7 o'clock at Lakeland Township.
Okay, we'll move on to public comment on a new topic. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on a new topic? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. We're done.